All right, John, whenever you're ready, you may begin. John, I need you to speak up when you ask questions, okay?
Okay. All right. My first question is, when and where were you born?
New York City, on Houston Street in Greenwich Village.
Oh, okay. Also, did you have any siblings?
I had two brothers and a sister. Two brothers have gone, they're dead, and my sister is still living in Greenwich Village at this point in time. She's approximately 83 years old.
Oh, okay. What were you doing before you signed up for the military?
I was going to Straubing-Muller Textile High School in New York City. I believe it was in the 20s, between 7th and 8th Avenue, I believe. It's such a long time ago, I don't really remember. But I decided to quit high school and go into service on September 22nd, 1947. And from there, I took my basic training in Fort Dix, New Jersey, at which time I think it was either 9 or 12 weeks. From there, I was sent to California to board a ship to go first to Alaska. They stopped over. They gave us a breather, do exercise on the wharfs or the docks, as you might call them, and we stayed there for I think overnight or 2 nights. But I failed to say that from California to Alaska, seasickness was a big problem. I get seasick in the bathtub, so that was no problem. It was a problem for me because of the way it was set up. But anyway, that's not really important. But from there, I went to Japan. I think we stayed, I can't remember the amount of time, but I think it was either a week or 2 weeks or maybe a month. And from there, I was stationed in Korea for the next 13 months. I was in Seoul for a while, Seoul, the capital. Mm-hmm. Then I was shipped up to a little town called Uijeongbu. It was on the 38th parallel in northern Korea. It was an outpost that contained a lot of ammunition, can't think of the word. It's the age, believe me. There was storage for arms and such, bombs and whatever, at this point within the mountains. We were at the 38th parallel, just where the cutoff point was for North Korea and South Korea, which it still is at this time. I was there for approximately 11 to 12 months, 13 months, whatever it was. But the temperature there was the same as New York temperatures. It was the same parallel. Had guard duty there. I think that was about the extent of it. We were there in the winter, there in the summer. From Korea, I went to not Japan, Hawaii. You might not believe this, but my outfit was the 25th Regimental Combat Team. And they were lucky enough to get sent to be taken away and brought to I don't know where they went, but I prayed like anything to go with them, but I never made it. But I was lucky enough. I was still behind, but I also I was fortunate enough to get 11 months stationed in Hawaii with the hula girls, or whatever you want to call them. I spent 11 months in Hawaii, and from Hawaii, I took an early discharge, for which I had time. I think it was 2 or 3 months time that I had accumulated, which got me an earlier discharge. And like I said before, I was discharged 5 days before the Korean War broke out. I lost a lot of friends, killed in combat. That's a long time ago. And I also, when I was in Korea, I was in Nutsul, just south of Uijeongbu. I worked in the library. I was a troop information and education tutor. I used to give lessons to the troops whenever they were available for us. I think that's about the extent of it, really. But like I said, I was lucky. 5 days before that Korean War broke out, I was out.
What was it like when you were stationed in Japan for that short time?
Such a short time was very difficult to explain. Everybody was looking for the GI money. I saw a lot of guys get filched or flinched, whatever you want to call it, where they thought they were getting bargains with the yen at the time, because the war was only over in 2 years, 1945, then 47, and they were still trying to get as much from the GIs as they could. And a lot of them, to excuse the expression, a lot of them got screwed because they didn't know what the yen was at the time. But that was the extent of it.
Okay. What was it like when you were stationed in Seoul, Korea, of the 38th Parallel?
Well, to be honest with you, when we used to go to Seoul, if we got a 3-day pass or a 1-day pass, which was more likely than 3 days because of the element in Korea. I mean, we used to walk the streets when we had to go into town. Everybody carried a bayonet in their boots because you didn't know what you were going to run into. And I could still see some of the people walking around with the bad disease where you start to rot. Leprosy. I couldn't think of the word. I saw this walking on the streets in Korea, and that's a little fearsome because you're healthy, you know what you have, and you see this, and it's really pathetic. But that's about the extent of that, too.
And what first inspired you to join the military?
My Americanization. I'm of Italian extraction. My parents were both born in Italy, but the pride that I have in America is really from the heart. And my own personal feelings, I don't even want to go into that, what they're doing to this country.
Why did you decide, or why did you get discharged from the service?
Well, I still had my parents. I still had my 2 brothers and sister. I still had a lot of family at home, and I didn't want to make it any worse for them. I know my mother couldn't speak English. My dad, yes. He was a truck driver. That's what he did for a living. And he was also a peddler of fruits and vegetables, watermelons and such. And I thought that 2.5, 3 years in service, I thought that was enough. And I was satisfied. If I didn't have a family, I would have stayed in, and I probably would have made a career out of it, but I wouldn't be married to this woman for 58 years. So, no, I can't say anything. I usually say I have a hunch on my back after 58 years, but I won't say that. That's about it.
What was it like when you came back from the military to be back with your family?
Well, there's nothing like Mama's cooking. And it was strictly all Italian cooking. So, it's very difficult to say, I mean, there's no comparison to Army food, to your mother's cooking, whether it be Italian, Irish, Jewish, or whatever. The food is absolutely fantastic when Mom cooks it. So that's about it.
Okay. Did your life personally change for you since before and after the time of your service?
Definitely. It changed in service, when you're in service, it's a regiment. You live by the way you have to live. I didn't mind taking orders. I still do. I'm 58 years married, so I still take orders. So that's again, the change was very dramatic. I went to work for a bank. I didn't last too long. That I think I was there for 3 or 4 years. I don't even remember, hon. 2 or 3 years. Just about that time. That was a dramatic change, but you become more resilient. You're a little bit more of a. You have a better outlook on life when you go from service to civilian life, or vice versa. You have to be able to take. I saw guys in basic training when I went. They actually were crying that they were in service in 1947. They were actually crying that they missed home. That didn't affect me that way. I don't know. Maybe the heart was made of stone. I don't know. But I like the military. And like I said, if I didn't have a family, I probably wouldn't have gotten out. I would have made a career out of it. But I'm glad I didn't, because I got a wonderful wife, a wonderful son, who is a doctor, and I'm grateful for all of that.
Have you had any hobbies since you've gotten out of the military?
Well, I used to bowl, but old man arthritis comes in and forget it. I can't do it anymore. I can't do what I used to do. I'll be 81 in June, and my wife will tell you it's been a hectic 2 years, the past 2 years, year and a half really. But that comes with the territory. You know, you get older, things happen.
Yeah. Do you still keep contact with anybody you served with?
I was in contact with one particular gentleman who happens to be a tax expert now, but I haven't seen him. We're down here 22 years, hon? 23? The last time I saw him was about 25 years ago. I haven't had any contact with him since.
Okay. What kind of sightseeing did you do when you were traveling all over the world?
Not too much. Stupidly, not too much. I was in Hawaii and I could have seen all the islands if I had done the right things. But I stuck it out on Oahu, which I think it was the main island, and it was too commercial then, and it's worse now. I was stationed in Schofield Barracks for the 11 months. Yeah, Schofield Barracks. Pearl Harbor, we used to go in and visit what was there at the time, including the wreck of the Arizona with all the 2,200 men on it. It becomes touching when you're a GI and you see what the Japs did, what the Japanese did. And you have to try to forget it, because once it's over, it's over. I mean, look at what we're doing now. You got Toyota and a lot of Japanese companies. Everything used to be made in Japan at one time. Now it's all made in China. So.
Yeah. Did anyone else in your family join the military?
Both brothers were in during the war, but one was discharged medically, and the other one was discharged medically for flat feet, my second brother. But they were both discharged. I guess one couldn't take it at all. He was afraid of the dark, but that was his, he couldn't take it. He was out on maneuvers at night in, I believe, in Oklahoma, and he just went berserk.
When you came back to civilian life, was it hard to readjust, or?
No, no. I worked with my dad. Like I said, he was a peddler. I worked with him. I drove a truck for him for a while until I got a job with a bank, and I worked for them for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years? I don't even remember. 3 or 4 years in that. I mean, that's one I want to forget anyway. 5 years? Took me a while to adjust, but I kept myself busy working with my dad. I wasn't a slacker for work, and thank God I have my son is the same way.
Do you have any other questions?
No, I don't.
Okay, Mr. Hines will come in, he's gonna ask you some questions.
Okay. Uh-oh, this is serious.
I've been off for a week. I mean, the spring breaks. I'm not used to standing on my feet. When you joined the army,
Yeah.
you enlisted. You weren't drafted, am I correct?
No, I enlisted, yes.
Okay. You said about family is. I mean, when you were in New York City back in the '40s, that must have been something. Was it a big transition to go from New York City to? I'm sure your basic training was probably in Georgia.
No, Fort Dix, New Jersey.
New Jersey, okay.
Yeah.
So was that a big shock to you?
Well, you know, I was born and bred in New York City, in Greenwich Village. But when I got into service and I got into Korea and Hawaii, I wrote home and told my dad, get out of New York City. But my father was from a little town in Italy, in Naples, near Naples, and he loved New York City. So, of course, he didn't pay any attention to me, which the children don't give advice to the parents. It's usually the opposite.
Yeah.
And I lost my train of thought, which happens often, by the way, at this stage of the game.
Yeah.
If you just refresh me.
I was asking, was it a big change from going from New York City to?
The change was being cooped up in New York City, where I lived in the village with my parents yet. I hadn't been married yet. We had got married 2 years later, and in essence, I like the country air. I don't like New York City, the buildings and such. Tar Beach is, of course, the roof because of the tar on it. And I was not a New York City born, yes, but it was just not my cup of tea.
Okay.
I met my wife. She lived in Long Island City. She had a beautiful home. Her parents had a beautiful home. We stuck it out. We got married. Lived in her parents' basement for a while, which we didn't particularly care for, but that's the stepping stone as you go along. So eventually what we did, we managed to scrape enough money together to buy a house in Levittown, Long Island, which we lived for 30 years. 30 years, right?
Nice. What'd you do for a living? What was your career?
I worked for a bank. I was in the loan department, and I was also in the traveler's checks department. I was first in the traveler's checks. We were 6 stories below the ground, in the basement, where the traveler's checks were kept, and we distributed our traveler's checks from there. From there, when we went to that was on 55 Wall Street. From Wall Street, I went to 42nd Street and Madison Avenue, bank on the corner. The traveler's checks was transferred to that, but then again, I got out of traveler's checks because it became very boring. So I went into the loan department and checking people's loans and such, and when the payments were made, or if they were missed, or if there was some kind of a problem with them, we had to find out what was wrong and then give it to, of course, our superiors who really took care of it.
Okay.
That was about the extent of that.
Okay. When you left New York City, the first the first place you went to overseas, where your station was Korea. Am I correct?
The first place was, we stopped in Alaska
Yes.
for only a couple of days. Then we stopped in Japan, out again in Japan. I don't recall how long we were there, but I think it was about 30 days before they stationed me in Korea, in Seoul. And then from Seoul, I went to Uijeongbu, which, like I said, was the 38th parallel,
Yeah.
just below the 38th parallel, within the mountains to take care of the ammo dumps there, just guarding them.
Yeah.
Not that we did anything in them. That was about it, really. Oh, I served while I was in Korea. There was an incident where 2 GIs, I believe, were killed, American GIs, and the priest, or the Catholic chaplain at that point in time, asked if I and another GI would serve as altar boys. They were ambushed on a train, and they were killed. So they had to bury them, of course. So I served as an altar boy with this particular priest. I don't remember his name. It was a Frenchman, but I don't remember his name. That escapes me.
When you went over to Korea for the first time, even though New York's a pretty metropolitan city, was it a shock to you to see, like you said, the people with leprosy? And was it a shock?
Oh,
to
sure.
you,
Yeah.
Like the completely different lifestyle?
Yes, completely different. I mean, you look at some of these Oriental movies that you see now, some of these on TV I'm talking about,
Yeah.
and even the movies itself. You see what some of the dregs look like. I mean, this is what it looked like to me. I mean, that's my interpretation of it. I don't know if anybody else felt that way. But like I said, we used to go in with bayonets in our boots.
Yeah.
Because, and by the way, before I went enlisted into the Army, the year before, I was 17, I went down to the Marines, okay? And that's what I enlisted in. But they wouldn't take me because I had a medical problem at the time. I think it was something to do with the urine. They said, you come back next year, we'll sure take you. But I changed my mind for some reason. And no reflection on the Marines, believe me. But that's the way it was at the time.
How do you think your military, your experience in the military affected the rest of your life?
Well, I could be sarcastic here and say I still take orders.
Yeah.
But I'm joking, of course. But I know one thing. What is known as a PIA, if you know what I'm talking about, pain in the,
Yeah.
okay? Because sometimes I'm too particular at home, and of course, she knows it. But that's the way I live. I can't help it. The Army really broke me into being, you got to walk the line, and you got to be just so. And that's the way I'm still guilty of that at times, which I know it's perturbing to her. But you got old habits are hard to get rid of.
Oh yeah, I agree. When you returned back, when you left Korea and then Hawaii, I actually lived in Hawaii for a little while.
You did?
Yeah, my dad was a Marine.
Oh, okay.
Marines, and I was there for 3 years. But when you went back to civilian life and you started working, do you think that really the military experience prepared you for life afterwards? Meaning, getting on with your life and becoming a successful.
Oh, I think so. I think it had a lot to do with the way I am today, because it's rote. It's routine, and you get to that point in time where I liked it. I thought it was great. I thought the military was great. I know guys that, like I said, in basic training, were crying. I don't know if they still cried after they left. I doubt it, because these guys, I saw guys get. I had one particular young man from Brooklyn who went cuckoo. He really went off the deep end. He just couldn't take the service, so they discharged him. And another guy from Brooklyn, was what you would call maybe a younger man, tough, and he volunteered because he was in trouble with the police. So they told him, you get in service and, we'll take care of everything. But he couldn't make it, so they had to discharge him. But that was about the extent of it, just those two guys.
Yeah.
Most of them accepted what was what.
Yeah. I mean, for people who are like John's age, would you recommend the service to them?
I would think yes. I liked it, so it's hard for me to say don't get into the service. I can't say that. I really can't say that because I liked it. To me, it was my cup of tea, and that was it.
Now, is there anything else you want to talk to us or tell us about your service or your time in the Army?
Nothing that I could really think of anymore. It's I guess you know what's going to happen, don't you? I'm going to walk out of here and I'm going to think of other things.
Yeah. I think
That's
your wife wants to remind you. Sure.
You never told them about your dad.
what?
Joining the service during the First World War.
Oh no, I wasn't asked about that. That's why.
He was wounded, and we're still trying to locate why he didn't get a Purple Heart.
Yeah, my father was.
With research, my son's done it on the internet, and he was supposed to get a Purple Heart.
Yeah.
My
He
son had
he
one.
should have gotten a Purple Heart. He was wounded in the Argonne Forest
Okay.
in I forget which leg it was, and he was on a pension. And for some reason, my second brother was taking care of it, and somehow he lost the pension from my father.
Okay.
They said something about him being, he owned a building in New York City, in Greenwich Village. And they said because he was a landlord, he wasn't entitled to the wound, which,
Yeah.
no way. No way. He should have gotten and been kept all those years that he lost it. But he did have it for a while.
Yeah.
Right.
So he he fought for the Americans. He came over here.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
listened for the American
Yeah,
Army.
he came over.
That's how we got his citizenship.
What, huh?
That's how we got his citizenship.
Yeah, yeah. He fought. He fought in the First World War, of which he was wounded, and he, like I said, he should have gotten the Purple Heart, but he never did. I'm still trying to pursue it, but I've got so much on my plate that I find it difficult to even go into it anymore. I'm going to see if my son can do it for me, but that's about. I forgot all about my dad, but I didn't think you wanted.
No, anything about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that had an effect on you. Why you enlisted? Am I correct?
I think so. Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm a flag waver. I love this country and I hate what they're doing to it.
Yeah.
And my biggest concern right now is when I get all these solicitations from the vets, the disabled vets, why should they have to ask for money? They were young enough and strong enough to go and fight for this country. They should be taken care of the rest of their life if they're wounded.
Yeah.
I believe in that strongly. And one of the things, when I came back from Korea and the war went on, and I saw what these guys coming back from Korea digging in Burger King and McDonald's trash cans to eat, that's a disgrace.
Yeah.
I don't believe that should have happened at all. And I still don't believe that. I just don't understand it. You know, you do something for your country, you do something for somebody, and then you get slapped in the face. It's not right. But that's my feeling.
Of course. Yeah.
They might throw this disc out. I don't know.
Not at all. We want to hear what you have to say. So, like I said, is there anything else you'd like to add to
Well, I have to say that my son followed me, not into the Army, Went into the Navy, he was a corpsman.
Okay.
He worked for you guys, the Marines,
Yeah.
in Quantico.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay? He was given a meritorious mast because he did so well with them. They liked him. You know, the Marines, that's who they love, the corpsmen,
Oh yeah.
because in battle, that's the guy you're going to depend on. And he got quite a bit of money out of that at the mast that the Marines gave him,
Oh,
if
really?
I'm not mistaken. I think they gave him a couple of $100 at the time, which he could have used.
Yeah.
And hey, he's also doing. He's a podiatrist right now. He's in California. Loves his work. Married with 2 children. And he loves his mom and his dad. That's for sure. But that's about it, really.
I'm good. All right. Well, great. It was great to have you in. I appreciate you coming by and spending some time with us.
Oh, I'm glad Tim did this. I'm glad he asked me to do this with you.
Well, thank you very much.
Oh, thank
I'm going to
you.
grab your microphone here, sir.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
That's all right.
Mr. Longobardi.
No, Joe.
Joe?
Yeah.
It's Hans.
Nice meeting you guys.
Yes, nice meeting you guys.
This way, so
Like
we'll
John,
go back.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Kate, thank you.
All right, we're gonna come out, I'll escort you out this way. John, you're gonna come out this way or wherever you want, or you can go